Zoom meeting. Inspired by your word, transformed as a married couple, single, or about to marry. Please, God, take absolute control. In Jesus' most wonderful name we pray. Amen. Once again, I welcome you all to this morning's section. And like you know, we've started this program since November. And today, it's 27th of January 2024. You know, we'll still have the last section where we'll be coming in February. But today will be taken by no other person than Mr. Evangelist Emmanuel Eme. So at this point, brother, sister, Mr. Emmanuel Eme will do justice to today's program. Thank you all.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. Good morning, everyone. If you are in Lagos, Nigeria, and around West Africa or this part of the world, that would be a good morning. As have been introduced, my name is Emmanuel Eme, and I'm a teacher and also an evangelist. I love sharing knowledge, and most especially the best knowledge, the greatest knowledge I love to share is the knowledge about the things that has to do with God, the author, the maker, the perfecter of everything. And God has shown us a very interesting future of himself by instituting the ordinance of marriage. You know, I love wedding ceremonies. I probably lost count how many couples my wife and I, by God's grace, have been able to impact and counsel over the past 27 years of being married. And I've done quite a few wedding ceremonies also. I've conducted quite a few weddings, ceremonies. But all these things is not to take away the topic of today of what we are looking at, what we're dealing with. And I would like to thank our brother, the one they call Barrister Emeka Anolifo, who has given me this great privilege to be able to share with us today. It's always good, and to be in this situation, be able to share. And our brother has taken us in the very first two parts of what we are learning from the book. If you don't have the book, please make sure you get a copy of the book. It's very inspiring. It's very instructive. It is scripture-based, it's experience-based, and it's everything that you will need to begin to start off this conversation on how to act right when your spouse acts wrong. And I have to let you guys know, the very first time I saw that book a few years ago, I was like, what does this mean? Is the book advocating that people should just allow things go, or just continue to play the, like we say in our concept, the fool? What exactly is the book saying? But I didn't begin to understand until I began to read the book. I know we belong to a society where we want to know the end of the movie before the movie even starts. And we will do it. We get a movie on DVD, or you're watching a movie on YouTube or on Netflix, and you want to fast forward to the end. We are such a very people that lacks patience. So I want you to be patient. Please read the book. Read chapter 1, read chapter 2. Today we are in chapter 3. So let's just loosen up a bit. So we're going to be asking two questions I'm going to be asking right now, and I want you to use the chat room I want you to tell me where you are joining in from. Where are you joining in from? And if you're not joining from Nigeria, tell us the time. I know some people, it's 1 o'clock right now, 1 a.m. where they are. Thank you for joining in. So just go ahead on the chat box, on the chat room there, just type it in where you're joining from. Even if you're in Lagos, where in Lagos are you joining in from? Yes, okay, we have somebody from Mowe. Welcome from Mowe. And the rest of you, Where are you joining in? Where are you coming in from, so that we can give a special shout out? All right, somebody from Ikeja. Ikeja, and by the way, Ikeja is the capital of Lagos, not Ikoyi, or not Aja, or not Lekki. Somebody from Isheri Opik, that's Isheri Opik. It can either be on the left or the right. You can either be on the Lagos side or you are in the Ogun State side. But thank you for joining. We have St. Louis in Missouri, in USA. Thank you. And that's probably the people that will be sacrificing the most, because they should be sleeping at this time. It's 1:30 in the morning and they are up. Thank you for joining us. We have you from Ogba. Ogba is joining in. Kemi is joining from Ojo Iba. Okay, that's on your way outside Lagos going towards Badagry. Thank you for joining from Ojo. Ajasa Command. Wow. Or is it Ajasa? Okay, Ajasa Command. Ikosi, Ikeja, Alakbere, Isheri, from Asaba, Delta State, the big hearts of the country. Welcome, Delta State, Ikorodu, Amuwo, Odofin, Magodo, Adeni Jones, Okeafa, Port Harcourt. Okay, all right, so that's the very first start. Please keep it coming. Now, the next question I want us to answer right now, and it's going to be fun. How long have you been married? If it's years, just tell us the years. If it's months, you can tell us the months. Just tell us. Thank you, Oshodi Isolo. Okay, thank you so much. So how long have you been married? And tell us, and if you are engaged with, I'm sure we do have engaged couples here, just tell us engaged to be married. Okay, all right, engaged to be married. All right, 27, wow, 27 years, wow, welcome to the club. Welcome to the club. Mende, welcome. 23, Toyi Marcos, 23. 16 years, Eriki Tola, wow, that's 16 years. Maybe we need to see the oldest person here. 30 years, Mr. and Mrs. Eke. I knew when that wedding happened. It was the National Art Theatre. Thank you so much. 30 years, almost 30, but yeah, 30 years. 11 years, Dotun. Someone joined from Akute. 26 years. Miriam, engaged to be married. Miriam, keep going. We can't wait for you to be married. 3 years. Wow. Rotimi, 3 years. 22 years. 24 years. That's the Chukumas, 24 years. Joseph Bosade, 20 years, 21 years. Wow. William Awutunde, wow, that's a long time. I know when that wedding happened, that marriage, when that marriage happened. Wow, 21 years. Okay. Adesiola, 22 years. Josephine, 11 years. Mrs. Ebom, 26 years. Yep. I also know when that happened. Yanole Falls, 26 years. Okay, Maduka from Ojota, welcome. Onyechi, wow, I was there at that wedding. I conducted that wedding 3 years. Wow, 3 years has come and gone. Iradia, 2 months. 2 months. So let us see. We have engaged to be married. We have 2-month-old. We have an almost 30 years old. We have a 4-month-old, Sandra. Yes, I was at that wedding too. Yes, Sandra, 4 months old. Then we have Mr. and Mrs. Odo, 29 years old. Wow, that is huge, and that is an elder there. That's amazing. 29 years. Then we have 7 years. Then we have 30 years. So you can see so far the oldest married person here, or people here, 30 years. The youngest 3 months, and we have yet to be married. So you can see this is a wide spectrum. This is a wide spectrum. Yeah, Kemi has collaborated, that is engaged to be married, and is dating and engaged all together for 3 years. Okay, so it's adding that. Okay, add that to your yet to, and you'll see where you're going to become. John Kenneth, 23 years. Wow. Absolutely. Thank you for joining from Doha, Rhoda. you are welcome. I actually have a friend who is currently in Doha at this time attending a seminar, but you are welcome. No matter the stage you are in today, no matter the life stage you are in or the marital stage that you are in, I want to say that this message, and indeed the messages that we have been sharing here, relates to every one of them. As a matter of fact, it is actually principles that you can use in every significant relationship that you have, even your children, your friends, especially relationships that are very, very tight. Because somebody said that God gave us marriage almost to remind us of Him. Can you imagine being in something you cannot just walk away from? You can't just walk away from. That is together forever. Think about how God deals with us. Many times we withdraw, like we want to say when we are describing our sinful nature. We say we drop the ball, but when you are related to somebody else, we say that person messed up or sinned. So think about all the times that we have dropped the ball in this relationship. Think about all the time that we have not been truly honest, with the one that we have a relationship with, which is our Father. Think about many times that we've not really lived up to our word, our conviction, the promises that we have made, to love God, to hold God, for better, for worse, richer, for poorer, anything, all the things that we say, think about all that time. And think about how God has responded to us in every way. God has responded in some ways that we might otherwise, that we might want to consider, as very intense stuff. Most of the time, he reacts the way that is just loving. We even wonder why does he love us so much? There's a song sung by a Nigerian, and the first time I heard that song was one of our campus students that was singing it. Jesus, you love me too much, oh, excess love. When you talk about prodigal, God is the one that is actually prodigal. Being prodigal is being wasteful. God is wasteful. The Bible says that God lavishes His love on us. Just in Nigeria, South Nigeria, they call something brekete. They say they're just lavish, and God is the one who is prodigal. He's the one who lavishes everything. He's the one who is willing to give everything and everything and everything to all of us. So the question now becomes, how do we act right when our spouse acts wrong? I am not presenting this class as somebody who has never acted wrong. And I'm definitely not married to somebody who has never done any wrong. But we're going to be sharing from the principles from this book, and I'm going to be also be sharing from things I've learned as a person, and some of the things, and we're going to have a time of Q&A, to really put this together. But before we do that, I would like for us to sit back. Before we do that, I would like for us to sit back at this time and enjoy a clip, okay? Enjoy a movie clip at this time. This movie, the acting won Grammy. This is one of the best movies that you can watch. It's not about shooting and killing, but just about conversation. The first time it was presented, it was a stage act that was presented that was later turned to a movie. It was a stage performance that was later turned to a movie. And without throwing much away, is by Denzel Washington and Viola. David. Those are the two major characters there. It's called Fences. You know how you build fences. And by the way, the movie is also about him trying to build a fence that he never completed until the end of the movie. So I'm not going to give it away, but if you are on Netflix, and I don't know, try and look for it on Netflix or somewhere, make sure you watch it. But let's start by showing this. And I want us to let it be a springboard, and it's going to be a conversation opener for us today. So it's very short, just a few minutes. It's very short. And I want to be a conversation opener. So hopefully it should play right about now.
My whole family is half. Everybody got different fathers and mothers. My two sisters, my brothers. You could hardly tell who's who, can never sit down talk about Papa and Mama. It's always your Papa, your Mama, my Papa, my Mama. And I ain't never wanted that for none of my children. And now you want to drag your behind in here and tell me something like this?
Stop it now. You ought to know. It's time for you to know.
Well, I don't want to know, goddammit!
Rose, I just can't make it go away. It's done now. I can't wish the circumstances of the thing away.
And you don't want to either? Maybe you want to wish me and my boy away. Maybe that's what you want. Well, you can't wish us away. I got 18 years of my life invested in you. You ought to have stayed upstairs in my bed where you
Now,
belong.
listen to me. We can get a handle on this thing. We can talk this out, come to an understanding.
Listen, it's we. Where was we at when you were down there rolling around with some godforsaken woman? We should have come to an understanding before you started making a damn fool of yourself. You're a day late and a dollar short when it come to an understanding with me.
Rose, it's just that she give me a different idea, a different understanding about myself. I can step out this house and get away from the pressures and the problems, be a different man. I ain't got to worry about how I'm gonna get the roof fixed or pay the bills, or I can just be a part of myself I ain't never been before.
What I want to know is... What I want to know is, do you plan to continue seeing her? That's all you can say to me.
I can sit up in a house and laugh. You understand what I'm saying? I can laugh out loud, and it feels good. It reaches all the way down to the bottom of my shoes, Rose. I can't give that up.
Maybe you ought to go on and stay down there with her. Is she a better woman than me?
It ain't about nobody being a better woman or nothing, Rose. You ain't to blame. A man couldn't ask for a better wife than you've been. I'm responsible for it. I done locked myself into a pattern trying to take care of you all that I forgot about myself.
What the hell was I there for? That was my job, not somebody else.
Rose, listen to me. I done tried all my life to live decent, to live a clean, hard, useful life. I try to be a good husband to you in every way I know how. Maybe I come into the world backwards. I don't know, but you're born with 2 strikes on you before you come to the plate. You got to guard it closely, always looking for the curveball on the inside corner. You can't afford a call strike. You can't let nothing get past you. If you're going down swinging. Everything lined up against you. What you gonna do? I fooled them, Rose. I bunted. When I found you and Corey in a halfway decent job, I was safe. Couldn't nothing touch me. I wasn't gonna strike out no more. I wasn't going back to the penitentiary. I wasn't gonna lie in the street with a bottle of wine. I was safe. I had me a family, a job. I wasn't gonna get that last strike. I was standing on first base, waiting for one of them boys to knock me in to bring me home. I saw the gal, she firmed up my backbone. I got to thinking that if I tried, maybe I could steal second. You understand what I'm saying? I just wanted to steal second. I stood on first base for 18 years, and I thought, well, goddammit, go on for it.
We ain't talking about baseball. We're talking about you going off and laying up with another woman and bringing it home to me. That's what we're talking about. We're not talking about no baseball.
You're not listening to me. I'm trying to explain it to you the best way I know how. It's not easy for me to admit that I've been standing in the same place for 18 years.
Well, I've been standing with you. I've been right here with you, Troy. I got a life, too. I gave 18 years of my life to stand in the same spot as you. Don't you think I ever wanted other things? Don't you think I had dreams and hopes? What about my life? What about me? Don't you think I ever crossed my mind to want to know other men, that I wanted to lay up somewhere and forget about my responsibilities, that I wanted someone to make me laugh so I could feel good? You're not the only one who's got wants and needs, but I held on to you, Troy. I took all my feelings, my wants and needs and dreams, and I buried them inside you. I planted a seed and watched and prayed over. I planted myself inside you and waited to bloom. It didn't take me no 18 years to realize the soil was hard and rocky and it was never gonna bloom. But I held on to you, Troy. I held you tighter. You was my husband. I owed you everything I had, every part of me I could find to give you. And upstairs in that bedroom with the darkness falling in on me, I gave everything I had to try and erase the doubt that you wasn't the finest man in the world, and wherever you was going, I was gonna be there with you because you was my husband. Because that's the only way I was gonna survive as your wife. You're always talking about what you give and what you don't have to give. But you take too, Troy. You take and don't even know nobody's giving.
Say I take and don't give.
Troy,
you
you
say
hurt me.
I take and don't
Troy,
give.
you hurt my arm.
I
Let
don't give
go.
you everything I got. Don't you tell that lie
Troy,
on me. Don't you tell that lie on me.
Troy, you hurt me. Troy.
All right. That's strike 2. You stay away from around me, boy. Don't you strike out. You living with a full count. Don't you strike out.
Wow. Each time I watch that clip, there's so much emotion. I want you to go ahead and type in, what do you think? Unfortunately, we won't be able to allow you to unmute until the Q&A. But right now, just use what emotions, what do you think? Maybe you've watched the movie before, maybe you haven't. What was going through your mind? This couple have been married for 18 years. They have a son, and the guy is a garbage truck driver. Life has been tough. He just told his wife that he has another woman who has gotten pregnant for him, and the baby is coming home. And how did that make you feel? Just watching it, I'll just give you some background. First, you think, then you feel. You have to understand before you feel. You don't feel first. If you feel first and understand, that's also okay. How does that make you feel? Now, we're going to be discussing all this, how the truth came out, the first response that the man gave, the woman's response, even the child coming in to come and try to rescue the mother, and every single thing. What emotions are going through your mind? In a word, in a sentence, someone said sad and anger. Sadness and anger. Yeah, so sad and anger. Somebody writes intense pain. Yep, intense pain. Someone is shocked. If you want to use your reaction, your emojis, you can go ahead and use your emojis. Somebody writes disappointment and agony. Disappointment and agony. Another person collaborated by also typing in disappointment. Somebody once says that when you have a bad appointment, it is a disappointment. When you fail to meet an appointment, it's called a misappointment. So what appointment is this? Question is what? What? Oh man. Somebody felt like slapping some sense into the guy. Slapping some sense into the guy. And another way of saying it like a Christian, you can say it in a Christian way. You can say, I feel like extending a hand of fellowship to him. Extending a hand. When you extend it. All right. Somebody felt heartbroken. Okay, somebody wants to see the particular movie. It's called Fences. Beautiful, beautiful movie. Fences, because it's all about conversation. It's not about driving and shooting, just conversation. And by the way, the guy who wrote the script, the house that they shot it's exactly where the guy lived, the neighborhood, the site. So everything just came down. It's real. They brought everything down. Somebody felt shattered. All right, so you can keep the reactions coming. This is actually a very difficult class to teach. When I say difficult class, You have to put in a lot of thoughts into it. It's going to require more honesty than teaching archaeology, teaching exegesis, teaching whatever. It requires so much, for us to really think about, in teaching this class. So I want all of us to, no matter what you are doing at this time, make sure you are not multitasking in a way that might rule you from really taking the input. This is very, very important. Whether you are married, like many years to have here, or you are dating or engaged to be married, this is so very, very important for all of us. All these emotions we're going to be discussing today. And like I said, we're going to have a time for Q&A so we can have a conversation around this topic. I will have asked to do a hand of anybody who has never had a rough time in their relationship. If you are there, put up your hand. If you have never had a rough time, if you've never had misunderstanding or disagreements, so you can put up your hand. As soon as I see a hand, we'll probably just close this class or ask you to come and teach this class. But I dare say that all of us. So what is all this about acting right? Why do I have to act right when my spouse acts wrong? What's the whole idea? Several weeks ago, we began talking about it. Then the very first point that we made, I'm just doing a short recap, is so why bother to act right? That is the question that was asked. Why bother to act right? Why do I have to act right if somebody else is acting wrong? The same question that you asked, why do I have to put my trash in the right place when the whole world is throwing their trash out? Why do I have to stop at a red light when the government officials just drive? Why do I have to go and park my car at the parking lot, at the designated parking lot at the airport where I pay per hour, when there are people who park their cars on the bridges and everywhere, even at the airport, and nobody goes their vehicle away? Why do I have to pay for my light bill when somebody else cheating? Why do I have to do it? The answer is, you already know, the acting right is actually good for us. All right. Number one, acting right is actually for us. When I act right, it is for my own good. Number two, acting right is because God commands that we act right. Now, if you've read the book in chapter 1, the author, Leslie Vernick, it reminds us of something that every one of us, you have been part of, you've said before, or you've heard before. When we were children, and our parents, some of us probably thought our parents hated us. Excuse me. All right. So some of us, maybe children, probably felt that our parents hated us because your parents wanted you to sleep at a particular time. Your parents, didn't want you to eat all the sugar and eat or chew all the sweets. Your parents didn't want you to watch some certain things on TV. Your parents didn't want you to assume some people. You wanted some freedom. And each time you ask your parents, why can't I do this? The clearest answer is sometimes because I said so. And sometimes we're like, why do you have to say so? But later on, we began to understand that it's not everything that we obey that we have to practically understand at the time. Later on, we're like, oh, now I understand. Sometimes you can't explain something to a 6-month-old or sometimes to a 1-year-old. Why they are the balcony, they shouldn't stand above the rail like everybody else who are grown up. Daddy, I want to see. Son, you can't see. Why? Because it's dangerous. Why? Number one, acting right is because it's good for us. Number two, acting right is because God says so. The same way you want your children to believe you because you said so. The same way also, no matter how difficult, we have to struggle. And I know it's a struggle because God says so. And today we are going to be looking at principles in the Bible on how to apply the things that we have heard, the things that we are learning. So why bother act right? Questions answered. So number 2, what do my spouse's wrong reveal in me? What do my spouse's wrong? After you have discovered and understood that acting right is for my own good, think about it. When I act right, it's good for my self-dignity. When I do the right things, when I tell the truth in the midst of hardship or temptation to lie, it's actually good for my honor. Now, it might put me in trouble, but it's actually good for my honor. And somebody once said that integrity will be the currency of the next generation, of the next thing. If people keep cutting corners and keep doing that which is right, then know for sure that when the time comes, when people are searching for men and women of honor, and that is why I play those affirmations, the man of honor, noble woman, when they are looking for men and women who people can trust, people can go to bed when they are the one in charge, it will be you. But what if that time never comes? What if you never receive that kind of grandiose reward for doing right? Well, you are still going to be fine, because your reward is going to be eternal. You are going to escape so many things that many people today who have not adopted those principles are facing. Things like having unnecessary or avoidable emotional situation or avoidable health situation can also come when we do wrong. I once read a scientific declaration that when you are angry, when they took the blood from somebody who was undergoing fits of rage, very, very angry. They took some blood out and they injected the blood of this man to a pig, and the pig died immediately. And it was actually a test. They found out that when you give yourself to anger, your body begins to produce toxins, poisons, and that is how your heart begins to race, you begin to sweat. You are actually killing yourself. But because it is a poison from you, sometimes you can tolerate it. But when you put that toxin on somebody else, that person will die immediately. So today I ask you, are you creating aroma of life, fragrance of life, or are you killing? The third question, in the second question, we now find out that whenever somebody does wrong, we are not excusing the wrong the person does, and this class is not to excuse anybody's wrong. Okay, we were not excusing wrong. Sin is sin, wrongdoing is wrongdoing. A crime will always be a crime. What is bad is always bad. We are not here to paint a good bad or bad good. We must first acknowledge that what is done is wrong. But when something bad happens to you, what happens is that it actually reveals the inner person. For example, let's say I'm driving in traffic and somebody cuts me off, or somebody does some crazy stuff. Then I have a choice. And I've done it before, where I screamed, where I got so angry. I even had a time some years ago where I chased after the person, and I'm asking myself, why am I doing this? So what would I do? So I chased after the person. So after a while, I was like, what am I doing? And I began to now slow down. What that revealed in me that I have unresolved conflict within me. I have anger issues within me. I lack self-control. That is what that shows. Think about it. And for those of you who live in a place as crazy as Lagos, where we have all these bike riders or tricycle riders who, in their own mind, the laws don't really apply to them. So you are driving your nice sedan or your SUV or your jalopy, and you're going, and one of these guys run into you or scratches you or whatever. You have a choice. You have a choice to come back and make a scene, which a lot of people do. Now, when that guy goes home after the altercation, he's going to go and share picturesely, oh, I had a fight with this man driving an Escalade, or I have a quarrel, if I even insulted him, this, whatever. But would you go and share about that? How you had a fight with a bus conductor or whatever? So it is to your glory. So what reveals to you? Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't do anything. So we have a choice to do either of these two. It's either we learn to respond or we continue to react. So respond or react. And that is the chapter that we are going to be dealing with today. And that chapter, chapter 3, is stop reacting, start responding. So what does it mean to react? In a layman's term, an action is done. So when you repeat that action, the way the action comes to you, I mean, some of you who did physics will probably know the third law of motion, or sorry, the third law that says action and reaction are direct and opposite. So if you strike your fist down on the table, there's going to be a big bang. Now, if the table does not break, that means that the same force that the table has to withstand is the same for is equal and opposite. The table is pushing this way and you are pushing this way, so the table stands because both forces are at par, they are equal. And the physicists observed it and said, for the fact that this table does not break, that means that the fist and the threshold of whatever are equal and they are at opposites. But if you stretch your hand on the table or on a glass and it shatters, that's your action is greater than the resistance. So when you react, you are actually repeating an action. Somebody yells at me and I yell back. I'm repeating the action. So, so somebody insults me and I insult back. I'm repeating the action. Your spouse is angry at you and you come out with the same anger, you are repeating the same action. So that's what it means to react. And when you are reacting, you are actually searching and using your primitive brain. For some of you who have heard me explain this, the human brain can be easily divided into two. You have the lizard brain, the lizard brain, followed by the rat's brain. Then you now have the human brain. That is the frontal cortex. That is where the sense of reasoning is. That is sense of reasoning is. So when you do that, when you apply the lizard brain, you are simply reacting. And that brain is there for a reason. It's not just there, it's there for a reason. So they call it primitive brain because that's the people that teach human evolution, people that is from amphibians to mammals to lower mammals before we now become man. So the brain was also developing there. So the lizard brain or the primitive brain has only one function, and that function is to preserve your life, is to protect you, to preserve your life and to protect you. And that leads us to the 3 reactions, not actions, reactions that we usually face when we are dealing in the marriage relationship. And those reactions, some people want to call them your coping skill. But if your coping skill only evolves around your primitive brain and not your human brain, then something is wrong. You have primitive brain, surely. But when you get an information, every information travels through your primitive brain first. It hits your primitive brain, and there's a reason for that. It hits your primitive brain, then it travels from the primitive brain to now your reasoning brain. I'll give you an example. You hear a sound, a loud sound, boom. The first thing you do is either you react. Sometimes people just fall down because their primitive brain has told them it could be gunshot, it could be an explosion, so you fall down. The best place to be is to hit the ground. Sometimes it's to run. You don't even know the direction, it's to run. Sometimes it's to try to hide. And so studied it, and they came up with these 3 coping styles. To remember them, think about an F. In school, an F is the lowest mark that you can get. When you fail, you get an F. So we're talking about something low. It's either you fight back. When somebody yells at you, you fight back. There's some people, even when you try to surprise them, maybe play a prank, which I don't really encourage practical jokes, because sometimes it can actually lead to people dying or do some stupid thing. Maybe you sneak up on somebody to scare him, and the person turns around and gives you a serious slap. Sometimes you can be doing that to your wife or your husband or whatever, because your primitive brain says you are in danger. So because you have learned karate chop, so you have to now show your chop. So that is what it does. You don't have to think. It's called reflex, and it is there to protect you. And that's why if something is falling without thinking, boom, your hand will just go and you grab it. If you're trying to sleep, you try to balance up, whatever. You don't have to think. But you don't have to do that for everything. Now, when something has to do relational, whatever, it must travel from that primitive brain, and it comes to your frontal cortex, where the power of reasoning is. And that's why, if you have noticed, sometimes when you're thinking, you're always doing this. You're like, without knowing it, you actually try to activate what you've stored there, or try to figure something. You don't go like this. So God has created us where information must travel from the reaction stage to now the reasoning stage, which is now the response. So rather than reacting, you can now respond. But it takes time for it to, it takes seconds. But sometimes you might have to slow down. Even when it comes, you've already activated your reaction brain. So can either fight, which is the first F, or it can be any F, or you can run, flight, you can run away, or you can freeze or have fright. So the first reaction is to fight, to run or flight, or to freeze or fright. So when you fight back, we are constantly fighting back, not because somebody is attacking you or if somebody comes to want to hit you with whatever, you have to fight back or do something, whatever. But when you take that same thing to your family, it's called counter-attacking. When you are attacked by what your spouse have said or not said, or how your spouse has acted, or failure to act, because it can be your thoughts, words, and deed, but you can't read somebody's thought, you can read somebody's action. It could be verbal, it could be non-verbal action. When you also give back the same way, it's called counter-attacking, and that is fighting. So are you a fighter? The first thing for us is to know ourselves. Okay, you have to know yourselves, know your coping style as a person. And of course, the coping style can be formed by so many things. They are the way that you have survived through your life from the time you were small, depending on where you live. Now, if you live in a place like in Jos, in Nigeria, I've been to Jos. It's very calmer than Lagos, very sedentary, or Yola, or even Kwara State, where population is not much, whatever. You will not see the way you grow up, the way you handle things will be easier. But when you grow up in a place like Lagos or Warri or some part of Port Harcourt, River State, or some other part where life is on the move, you might think everything is counter-attacking. Have you heard somebody from Warri talk? Even when they are saying things nice, they are very animated. They are very, very animated. You think that they are quarreling with you. Now I don't want you, but they are trying to be nice. Or sometime in Lagos Island or Mushi, wherever, you see two friends, which was we're like, they are not quarreling. That's just how. So they are very animated. So sometimes you might not know the line between just being what the society accepts as normal and now going to the normal. So are you a fighter? Number two, are you an avoider that will let me just run? Something happens, I beg, just leave it. We're going to discuss that one too. So when we think about reacting, we're not just talking about somebody who throws verbal word. Sometimes even you're just avoiding can even be detrimental to your relationship. So yes, now we are beginning to answer that question, how to act right. So does it mean that we're just going to take anything? Sometimes when you don't speak up, when you don't whatever, you can also be doing your relationship harm. Number three is the surrender. So just surrender and say, well, we don't know, let me just pray, whatever. And people who are religious, like all of us here, most of us here, if not all of us, we sometimes let's just pray, so we don't do anything. So it's either you try to avoid the situation, You avoid the conversation, you avoid the person, you just avoid, or you are fighting, or you just freeze, you don't do anything. Today, ask yourself, where do you fall? Where do you fall? So the very first step is self-awareness. Okay, for you to fix anything, you have to be self-aware. When you are self-aware, then you can now self-regulate. Like our brother WC, who's a Six Sigma master, black belt, will say, what you cannot measure, you cannot control in Lean Six Sigma. But if you can't measure, you cannot control it. So if you can measure, so are you really hot-tempered? If you don't know you're hot-tempered, so how can you now control your temper? Again, let me ask, have you ever been in a situation or seen someone who is really on top of his voice, really angry, and you are like, hey, dude, calm down. Say, I'm calm. But your voice is like, this is my voice, this is my voice. Because they are not self-aware. So you have to be self-aware. So there are several ways to be self-aware. Number one is to ask someone how you are doing. Everybody here listening to me, we all have blind spots. We all have blind spots. Blind spots are those things that are visible to everyone but you. They are visible to everyone but you. You can't see it because where it is, it's your eyes cannot see. Like I say, your eyes cannot see beyond your nose. You can't see anything here. You can't see anything. You can't see. So we all have blind spots. That's an analogy I've had our brother Anubisek is used many times. Is if you have gone to eat vegetable, sauce, stew or soup, and especially ugu, the long one, and you had a piece of vegetable on your teeth, and you finish eating and you're happy, and you come back maybe to a seminar or to a meeting, or you even go for a wedding, and everybody sees whenever you speak, everybody sees there is something greenish, but everybody sees it but you. So how do you know who you are? You solicit for feedback. Like after dressing up, my wife come and ask me, do you like this dress? How does it look? Now that's another sermon. For women, it's easier for women to actually ask that, that question, how do I look? And let me tell you the secret. When a woman tells you, how do you look? You have to look for something, something commendable, to say. Now you might say, whatever, look for something, because they're actually asking you to give an approval. Now, a man, it's very easy for a man to go and ask the wife, how do you look? They will tell you, no, you don't wear that. So you solicit for feedback. That's number one. And it takes a lot of boldness and a lot of humility to solicit for feedback. Number two, if you are in a relationship, you should also give your partner, your husband, your wife, you also give them feedback. Now, there are difference between a feedback and an advice. An advice is just your opinion. That's opinion. But a feedback is telling them exactly what is going on. It's a feedback. You are feeding it back. You are taking the same thing and saying it back. It's like saying, oh, did you say the dress code for today's event is white? Yeah, it's white. But do you notice that you're actually wearing black? Oh, that's true. That's a feedback. And so when you get a feedback, it's actually, that is true, a feedback. But an advice, our opinion is, why is your black too black? Well, because I like it. Or why did you, so a lot of time we confuse them thinking that our opinions are actually law or our advice. Oh, I gave an advice and they didn't follow my advice. Because it's an advice, they doesn't have to follow. And as people who cancel other people, who disable other people, when you give an advice, you don't have to follow. So most people have a predominant coping style. Ask your spouse, your children will tell you, is that you are an avoider, you are a surrendered person, or you are a counter attacker. Most people have a predominant. So one, seek for feedback or solicit for feedback. Then if you are there, you can also offer your feedback. So how do we stop reacting and start responding? The first thing is for us to also understand the power of righteous response in marriage. There's a power of wrath. You say, well, but I responded. But your response is not yielding what you actually want. If your response is not yielding, that means you might have to look at the quality of the response that you are giving in your marriage ceremony. Sorry, not ceremony, your marriage relationship. Ceremony just came to my mind there. So, and as we discuss this, I want all of us to make note, because we're going to be asking questions. We're going to be looking at all of these things. There's a quote in the book. The very first quote there is that there must be something a man will not do before he decides about those things that he will do. Mencius said that there must be something that a man will not do. There's something a man will not do before he decides about those things that he will do. So it's not about just what we do. So some things too that we must not do. And of course, the analogy was given about the story of Jennifer, realization, power of reacting. And of course, if you've not read it, they herself and her husband have been having issues. She has an extra evening job that she has to do. So the husband has to come back from working all day in the afternoon, and he has to stay with the kids, and she has to go and do a 3-hour job, and she come back later in the evening. And the husband has been complaining, and whenever the husband complains about this job or whatever, they always quarrel about it. Now, this woman has been seeking counseling, and she now came to report back to the counselor. He said, now I finally get it. So what did you get? That's when each time I react towards my husband, that's when it fuels the agreement. But now ready to respond. So the husband came in his usual way, come and say, don't you know you've left me here with the children, blah, blah, this is your job, whatever. And she responded by saying, oh, I can imagine how hard it is for you. I mean, so much sacrifice, and I'm putting my own words right now. So much sacrifice for you to work all day, and you still come and still take care of the kids. And she said, in the usual way, the husband walked away without saying anything. But shortly later, the husband came back, gave her a big hug. That is the power of responding. Okay, so today, I want us to begin to think and ask yourself at this time. I want you to think about situations in your life, in your relationship, whether you are married or you are engaged to be married or you are dating at this time. I want to think about situation in your relationships where you had reacted, that if you had simply responded, things wouldn't have escalated the way it did. So think just for a moment about it. Just flip through your mind. I can tell you there are many situations that you find. Or if it's hard for you to find, think about even at work with your children, that if you had simply responded and not reacting. So now that you have that situation, I want you to hold that thoughts in your mind, and you are going to use that thought to now begin to now weigh other things you're going to say, because most of us are caught up by what our spouse is doing wrong, and that we don't stop them to think about how we respond to what our spouse. Yes, your spouse or your significant half might be doing what is wrong, but how has my reaction been? How am I reacting, or am I responding? So we often live in the moment without contemplating the long-term consequences of our behavior. So ask yourself today. There's a psychologist who only said that he can actually tell he can tell if a marriage relationship lasts long or not by just spending time like 5-10 minutes with the couple. Just observe 5-10 minutes, and they were like, how can you do that? People, the guy said that happily married couple, I'm trying to quote now, he said happily married couple, it's not a matter of they're not smarter, they are not richer, they are not more psychological, or they don't have some other things that other people don't have. But in day-to-day, this man says, in their day-to-day lives, they have hit upon a dynamic that keeps their negative thoughts and feeling about each other, which often that's what we do. So they try to keep it away and deal with it. So it's all about negative emotions. When something happens to you, the first thing is negative emotion. And so what we do is we are tempted or we are kind of pushed to now react. So what is the impact of reaction in your marriage relationship? There are consequences. Reckless thoughts leading to reckless talk, leading to reckless action, leading to reckless reaction. Think about it. I watched without warning, and I don't like watching videos like that. Where I get a warning, I will never open them. All these things that they post on the message, and without knowing that it was an old boss association, so I thought it was something funny, and it was actually two people fighting, two young men, and somebody was videoing from afar, and they were maybe you've seen it too, striking, and the one that you thought was stronger landed a blow, and the other one, boom, and the guy just stopped. Then he just put his head up and just collapsed, boom, right down. And that is when the story now changed. People now began to run around. No, Nigeria, you have killed him. So the guy who boxed was now trying to get him, and the body was lifeless. Think about how so many wars today, or so many divorce cases, or separation cases, or whatever could have been averted if we have just stopped, just for a few seconds, to think, allow the information to travel through your primitive brain, your lizard brain, your what do you call it? The rat's brain, then the human brain, the one that has the capacity to actually weigh things, to actually look at things. So think about that. Now, there are 4 negative reactions that can lead a couple towards divorce, okay, in the book. And if you can write it down, that'll be great. There are 4 negative reactions, and we're going to be matching these reactions with biblical quotation, Bible quotation. Very, very important. But before I do that, if you are still here with me, please type in a yes. I want to know if you are still here. So because I'm here, I have my own yes there. Okay, Miriam is here. Iridia is here. Wow. Yes, Zandu is here. Okay. Thank you. And please keep your questions. Write them down. Hold them down. If you need to WhatsApp them to yourself, like you can do now. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So here are the. You can keep putting the yeses, but here are the 4 negative reactions. So when you say negative, that could there be a positive reaction? We are going to come to that, okay? But these are negative reactions. Reactions mostly are negative because you react, okay? If you are boxing, if you are in a tournament in boxing, then your reaction will be a negative thing because that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to react, okay? You're supposed to, because that's that's the sport. But have you observed that whenever, especially in kickboxing or in this new martial art, this mixed martial art they're doing right now, you have a lot of casualties where somebody kicks someone and their limb breaks. The other guy doesn't go jumping, whatever, they run. Or where somebody lands a blow and the guy collapses, like after the tank cannot get up, the guy's gonna go. Because I'm not there to kill you. The whole idea is not to kill you, whatever. So and they feel very sorry, that they've landed a deadly blow on their opponent. So here are the 4 reactions that we need to avoid. Number 1 is escalating a fight. Escalating a fight is like pouring gasoline or petrol to something that is already volatile. So think about the times that you escalated a fight. Now, when I was growing up, I went to a public school, and if you know public school, there are a lot of fights in the public school. They are very little discipline, especially after classes, after school, after the break. So people can fight. They go to fight, and I can't seem to wrap my head around, and it happened to me where it was done to me, where somebody wanted to fight me, and I was hoping my heart that this guy would not fight me because I was not a fighter. Okay, I was very, very insecure. I like to mind my business, and a lot of people tried to fight me because of my story, which some of you probably know if you know me, how I grew up, where I grew up. I was almost like an outcast in the society where I grew up, because my father fought and lost a war, the Biafran War, and we are forced to relocate for survival. My dad had to relocate his family to Lagos. Talk about living in the enemy's camp. And so that's how I grew up. So we couldn't live with other people. So all of us were from the same tribe, living together in the face me, I face you. We couldn't do whatever. So going to class was very, very tough for me. I was hated for no reason, just because of my tribe and everything. So I was called names. I was bullied all through my primary school. I was bullied. And I remember one time this guy was bullying me, and I couldn't fight this guy. And somebody would always come and put sand on their hand, and they'll bring it up like erere. I still remember erere ijari, but this is play and this is fight. So anyone you hit, that's what you're going to do. And of course, when you have friends who are just sparring and they are not, that's also a way to escalate. So they are going to strike the parts of fights. Now, when that option is brought to me, I know I can't fight. I don't want to fight. The guy, if the thing goes to the first, he will strike the one or fight. And he wants to fight. But for me, I want to strike the one of peace. I want to fight. But there have been a time that I've been so foolish to go and strike hand that says fight. And I was beaten up. So those friends were not there to separate the fight. They were there to watch a good fight. So today I ask you, are there things that you're doing that's actually escalating a fight? There's a scripture that you might want to read. And for the sake of this, as it was referenced in the book, but only the very first verse or stanza or verse was referenced. But I'm going to read the entire chapter because it speaks to what we are going to be talking about. And that is Proverbs chapter 15. Please note it down in your phone. Send a WhatsApp message to yourself, or just be typing it down. Later you send everything to yourself if you don't have pen and paper. Proverbs chapter 15, verse 1 says, "A gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger." So think about it. How can you answer somebody in a gentle way? Now, I can think of many harsh ways I have, responded, to situations in my life, either in traffic or whatever. But there are some that are so epic, for me, very iconic. I remember, driving somewhere in Yaba, and this Okada rider, it was really rough, riding, and or Marua, whatever. When a red light says stop, they will want you to keep moving so that they don't really stop. So I stopped, and the guy came to me and said, "Okay, move now." Like, if you don't understand pidgin English here, move. If you don't go move, come out. If you're not ready to move, can you please step aside for people that want to move? But the light says red. And the guy now came to me and gave me this hot eyes and said, "What did you do?" Oh man, I burned. It was my pride was hurt, my dignity was, everything was like that. And for some reason, God gave me, and I looked at that, and I was able to muster up a little smile. And I said, "Now car they drive." He's asking me, waiting to drive. What are you doing, sir? And I said, "It's a car I'm driving." Guess what? The guy looked at me. I just smiled. Just did like this. I just went off. And in my head, I was like, wow, how did I muster the wisdom to actually do that? Because at that point, my lizard brain was telling me, "What does this guy think you are?" Whatever. But something told me, I said, "You can't. What do you want to do with the guy? The guy is just going to, sometimes they can even bang your car and just go because they know you can't chase after them. What do? The Bible says here that a gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. So this is how you can do it. Begin to train yourself. Don't wait until there, there's a possible fights in your marriage or whatever. Do not think, "Oh, what do I?" Start to yourself, okay, anytime I am tempted to speak harshly, I'm going to turn around with a gentle answer. So what's practiced first. It says, "The tongue of the wise commends knowledge, but the mouth of the fool gushes folly." The eyes of the Lord are everywhere, keeping watch on the wicked and the good. The tongue that brings healing is a tree of life, but the deceitful crushes the spirit. A fool spurns his father's discipline, but whoever is correction shows prudence. In verse 6 it says, the heart of the righteous contains great treasures, but the income of the wicked trouble. The lips of the wise spread knowledge. Not so the heart of fools. The Lord detests the sacrifice of the wicked, but the prayer of the upright pleases him. The Lord detests the way of the wicked, but he loves those who pursues righteousness. Stern discipline awaits him. Sorry, I was locked out for a second there. Now I'm back. The Bible says, he who hates correction will die. Can you imagine the intensity of those those warnings there? He said, better a little with fear of the Lord than great wealth with turmoil. Better a meal of vegetable where there is love than a fattened calf with hatred. And you can attest to this. That it's better to just to, like they say in Nigeria, drink Gary. That's like the cheapest meal they can have. Than to have a buffet. And you see people are seated down on a buffet table, maybe from there, and they are on one point of the table and the other spouse, and they're supposed to be on a dinner date, and they are so far from each other. And yet, that the dinner date may be the most expensive date. You might have to save up for 1 year to have that kind of dinner date. People are eating and yet they're not talking to one another. To make it worse, gadgets have come into our lives. Gadgets have come to our lives. You see, people are sitting on the dining table, even as a family, and everybody is on their cell phone. Let's watch out for that. It has happened in my family. I was like, guys, can you let's just put this down, guys. Says, oh, I'm trying. I said, I know, but can we just? So I have to be the first. No phones, because it's not because we're quarreling, because we are not communicating. Communication is also with the eyes, everything. Folly delights a man who lacks judgment. Verse 21 says, but a man of understanding keeps a straight course. Plans fail for lack of counsel, but with many advisers, they succeed. A man finds joy in giving an apt reply. And how good is a timely word? The path of life leads upward for the wise to keep him from going down the grave. The Lord tears down the proud man's house, but he keeps the widow's boundaries intact. The Lord detests the thoughts of the wicked, but those of the poor are pleasing to him. A greedy man brings trouble to his family, but he who hates bribe will live. The heart of the righteous weighs its answers, but the mouth of the wicked gushes evil. The Lord is far from the wicked, but he hears the prayers of the righteous. The cheerful look brings joy to the heart, and good news brings health to the bones. He who listens to a life-giving rebuke will be at home among the wise. He who ignores this despises himself, but who heeds correction gains understanding. The fear of the Lord teaches a man wisdom, and humility comes before honor. So it is my prayer that we apply just this chapter. Go back and read Proverbs chapter 10, verse 1, and begin to stick which area do I need to grow in more. Escalating a fight is one sure way of negative reaction. Number two is negative comments. When you make negative comment, not positive comments, when you make negative comment, you will escalate a quarrel at any time. Proverbs chapter 29, verse 11 says, a fool gives full vent to his anger. A fool gives full vent to his anger, but a wise man keeps himself under control. So today, all of us must decide that we're going to be wise men and women. How do you know a wise man and woman? One of the qualities is they are able to control themselves even when they are tempted to do the opposite. And that is one of the fruits of the Spirit, self-control. It's not that what you are facing is not hurting. It's not that the person who is hurting you is not doing wrong. But again, go from here to here. Self-control is found here. Self is not in your medulla oblongata. This one is non-voluntary action. Your medulla oblongata controls your heartbeats. You don't have to control your heartbeat. It's just your heart continues to beat from the day you were conceived. It controls sleeping. It controls snoring. Those things you don't have control over. That is what here does. But the things you have control over are here. And that's why information must enter your ear, go to your medulla oblongata, then drive through and come here. For some of us, you can figure it out quickly, and it happens by training. About that again. So just give me a minute. I will need to change my source of internet. Okay, just give me a second so that this doesn't continue to happen. I need to change my source. Okay, it's kicking in. All right, so like I was saying, you need to allow situation. For some people, they've been able to train themselves to quickly detect it. It takes training, it takes observation, it takes self-awareness. But for some who are just starting, you might have to be more conscious about that. You know, the Bible did this same book of Hebrews. Solid food is for the mature, who by constant use have trained themselves to distinguish good from evil. So one show, you have to train yourself. Initially, you will start, you fail, but just keep at it. Somebody asked a question, keep yourself from falling off a bicycle. Just keep pedaling. And I don't know about you, the first time I began learning how to ride a bicycle, somebody was holding me. Then we got what they call training wheels. Those things that, you know, that you place, you know, training wheels, very, very important. You know, to the other side until you're able to now stand and now remove the other one. You know, so training wheels are very, very important. So that is why you need a coach. That is why you need, you know, a counselor. That's why you need somebody who can disciple you. There are many things you can't do on our own. That's why you need your wife and your husband. You know, those are the better people that can tell you, honey, you know, when you said that, you actually sounded unloving. Oh, me? I thought I was nice, you know. You know, so you need somebody to show you your blind spots. And that is why people today, they go hire you know, coaches and counselors and everything. You need someone in your life. You can't do it alone. You know, you can't be a judge in your own case. You need someone to help you out. So that is very, very important. So negative comments will fuel it. So let's watch out, you know, for those negative, you know, comments that, you know, that come, and train yourself. Remember that scripture, Proverbs chapter 29, verse 11. A fool gives full vent to his anger. Okay, but a wise man keeps himself under control. There is no Bible passage, that says don't be angry, or it's a sin to be angry. You know, anger is actually a response, but it is what you do when you're angry. And I dare tell you that it is almost difficult to think straight when you're angry. So that's why you shouldn't dwell in anger. The Bible says, don't let your anger, don't stay angry until the sunset. You know, the Bible says, go and settle your issue. The more you say, some of us may have the tendency to brew more, while some of us will just de-escalate it. Some of us will escalate it. Number three, a negative reaction is invalidating comments. When you make comments that does not validate what is going on. And Proverbs chapter 29 tells us about that. Proverbs chapter 29, the recommended verse in the book is verse 20. Sorry, it's Proverbs chapter 25, sorry, not 29. Proverbs 25, verse 20. But I will read from verse 20 to 28. Okay, that's how to actually read, so that we're not just reading out of context, but it's so great. Listen to what verse 20 of Proverbs 25 says. It says, like one who takes away a garment on a cold day. Okay, like one, I actually have a garment, actually a blanket, my Kenyan blanket. So whenever I'm by my PC, I'm working in the night and it gets cold, this is what I use to wrap myself. So you can imagine me wrapping myself with this and somebody come to take it away from me. So the Bible says, like one who takes away a garment on a cold day, or like vinegar poured on soda. Now, I've not tried that out. When I first read it, I said, well, I don't have vinegar, but I have, the soda. I guess it will erupt, right? Like vinegar poured on soda is one who sings songs to a heavy heart. In other words, it doesn't compliment. It doesn't compliment. Somebody is sad and you are going to, no, you don't do that. Now, a situation happened about 3 weeks ago or 2 Sundays ago, thereabouts. And I'm sharing this, from a lighter mood, from a good, just for example sake. So I'm not going to mention any name. So we're there, about 2 or 3 of us, after church, talking, 3 men talking. And a brother just walked straight to us. And without warning, there was no warning. He just said, I just said, how you doing? Well, he said, I'm tired of life. I'm tired of my work. I'm tired of my marriage. I'm tired of, he just said that just like that. Now, why I was in kind of big shock, another brother was like, hey, bro, I can't remember exactly what, but more like, hey, bro, be happy. You can't be tired. And I said, bro, you don't say that. Here is somebody who's pouring out his heart. And so sometimes the things that we say does not complement the situation. Somebody just lost someone, or somebody, loss is loss. It could be of a friendship. You can lose a friendship. You can lose somebody to death. You can lose a car. You can lose a job. You can lose a house. You can lose whatever. If somebody lose something, they are grieving. That is not the time to come and tell them your own story. Or say, oh, I understand how you feel. No, you don't. No, you don't. That will be a time for you to say, wow. The best thing you can say might be, I can only imagine. So will you like to share with me how you really feel? Will you like, and you must take people's permission to probe. Take their permission. Would you like to share how it makes you feel? Will you want me to pray with you now? Don't just say, oh, let us pray. No. Sometimes it might not be. Yeah, prayer is great, but you have to make sure you match what people are going through. The Bible tells us that for those who mourn, we mourn with them. For those who are honored, we rejoice. We don't do the opposite. So if your spouse is not feeling good about it, you don't start doing something. What you do is that you are discrediting, or you are saying their feelings don't count. That's what you are saying. So like one who takes away a garment on a cold night, on a cold day, or like vinegar poured on soda, is one who sings songs to a heavy heart. In verse 21, it says, if your enemy, which is like reverse, right? If your enemy is hungry, give him food, not rebuke. Really? Yeah, that is what Jesus Christ was saying. So if your enemy is hungry, your enemy, right? What do? Give him food. Wow. This is countercultural. If he's thirsty, give him water, because that is what he needs. Yeah, rebuke can come afterwards. But that is what, even an enemy, how much more your spouse? Why we are told in the Bible, now a lot of you have read it in the New Testament when Jesus Christ mentioned the same thing, but the same Jews read this thing all the time, yet they don't practice it. He said, in doing this, you will heap burning coal on his head, and the Lord will reward you. What a way to pay somebody back. What a way to pay somebody back, by doing good. Now, why do you do good? Because it's good for my heart to do good. It is good for my heart to do good. In verse 23, it says, as a north wind brings rain, here in Nigeria, it's the southwest wind that brings rain, okay, because of the Atlantic. This was written with the geography of the guys in Israel. Okay, as the north wind brings rain, so a slight tongue brings angry look. There's some things we say that will not give us angry look. So in verse 24, I'm sure many men, in fact, I was in a very interesting counseling situation this week and last week, and the man quoted this passage. It's better to live in a corner of a roof than share a house with a quarrelsome wife. Now, can I also add that better to live in a corner of a roof also, or at the balcony, which is what it will be today for some of us, or the balcony or a penthouse, than to live with a quarrelsome husband. The same thing too. Nobody wants it. It is disheartening. But the opposite in verse 25, and that's why we're looking at them, say, like cold water to a weary soul, a good news from a distant land. Is a good news from a distant land. Like muddled spring or a polluted well is a righteous man who gives way to the wicked. So why do you want somebody lack of action or bad action to now pollute you? Think about it. He said, it is not good to eat too much honey. Now, I find that very interesting. That's a great advice. Nor is it honorable to seek one's honor. You know what? Sometimes you have to just be humble, okay? If you eat too much honey because you like it, whatever, it's going to affect you health-wise. And finally, in verse 28, it says, like a city whose walls are broken down is a man who lacks self-control. Like a city whose walls are broken down is a man who lacks self-control. So number one negative reaction is escalating a fight. When you're always escalating a fight, when somebody is angry, upset, doing stupid things or whatever, don't add to it. You can be quiet. Now, that is not avoiding, that is wisdom. Okay, pray, what can I say? So the next thing it follows, negative comment. You can't say a negative comment, a comment that's going to add to it. And number three, you can't be invalidating somebody's comments. Validate them. Oh, I can see that you were hurt by what I said. When you say that to someone will go, okay, oh, they're actually saying it. I can see that my what I said. Now, don't make excuses for what you said. I didn't mean, I can see, you validate it. I can see that what I said hurts you really bad, and I'm sorry. And I'm sorry. That's the first thing, you validate. Then finally, in those four negative reactions, is when you withdraw or avoid. When you withdraw or avoid. Not when you stop to listen, not when you stop so you can hear, not when you stop so one can finish, when you deliberately just withdraw or avoid. Ephesians, sorry, we didn't read the second passage in that invalidating somebody's comment. 1 Peter chapter 2 verse 17, it says, show proper respect to everyone. Love the brotherhood of believers. Fear God. Honor the king. So look at it one by one. For everybody, who's anybody, everybody, say show proper respect. There is respect. There has to be proper respect. The kind of respect you show a 2-year-old, it's not the same respect you're going to show a 20-year-old. It's not the same respect you're going to show a 70-year-old. But there has to be proper respect. In our culture, for example, I remember there was a sister who came from Turkey. Nice sister, great, awesome sister. We christened her Yetunde. Her name is Yesta, but christened her Yetunde. And she still bears that name till today. She loves the name. So she came to church. She brought sweets for the little kids in Kids Kingdom. And one of the kids came and went on her knees, thanking her. She didn't know that's how we thank people. She was like, oh, get up, get up, get up. I said, no, Yetunde, leave her. That is how we show appreciation. To her, she was like, whoa. Now, a similar thing happened to me. So our last born, my younger brother, got married to a Tanzanian. So for the traditional wedding, I had to travel all over to Dar es Salaam. When I was going, I brought gifts for the dad. I brought wrapper, for the mom and every single thing. And I gave the men. They were so fired up. And this woman is a big woman, successful businesswoman, obviously older than me. When I gave her the wrapper, She went on her knees, went down on the floor, and started rolling around. I was in shock. Then I asked my friend, who is a Tanzanian, a friend that went there. He said, what's going on? He said, that is not the show obsession. Women, that's how, I was like, she was rolling around. She like took it, and you know how Yoruba people will say, Moyika to Moyiko, the same way they were going round and whatever. In a similar way, in the similar state, after the in-house engagement, now my younger brother was now going to now give the ring, official engagement ring. And of course, he hasn't never been married before. So he asked me, so I have the ring. So what do I do? I said, you go down on one knee. You want to give your wife, you go down. Now, she lives in America now, they're both in the US now. So their worldview, whatever. I said, you go down on one knee. As soon as my brother attempted to go down on one knee, the whole crowd went, no. I'm like, what? He said, no, men don't go down kneel down for women. She should be the one. I was like, this is interesting. So she gladly went down on both knees to receive the ring. So again, we have to learn culture. We have to learn culture. We have to also look at personal values. That should show proper respect to everyone. Number one, it said, love the brotherhood of believers. Number two, fear God. Number three, honor the king. Now, it doesn't matter whether the king is a good king or a bad king. Honor the king. Love the brotherhood. Fear God. Number four is when we withdraw or avoid. And this usually happens where also people use physical relationship, we weaponize our emotion. It's either we will throw tantrums or we withdraw an emotion. That also is one of the negative reactions. And we're going to see some counsel from Ephesians chapter 4, verse 25. Ephesians 4:25, I'm going to read down to 27. It says, therefore, each of you must put off falsehood. Remember, we're talking about withdrawing and avoiding. Put off falsehood. Sometimes we live a lie. We are not truthful. How are you feeling? Oh, I'm fine. I'm okay. No, you are not okay. So the Bible said that you should put off falsehood and speak truthfully to his neighbor. Now, truthfully, remember the principle. You also have to speak with respect. Okay, truthfully doesn't mean that you are insulting, disrespectful. You can be saying the truth, but you might be disrespectful, or you might be abusive. Okay, so he said, each one of us must speak the truthfully to his neighbor. Why should we do that? For we are all members of one body. Now, this is assuming this is really to a church. Okay, we are all members of one body. So let's be truthful. In your anger, so he didn't say don't get angry. In your anger, do not sin. That means that anger is just a reaction to something negative. A reaction to something negative. But what you do with your anger is what now begins to count against you or for you. He said, in your anger, do not sin. And he asks, do not let the sun go down while you are still angry. In other words, don't let it fester. Go down like a day. Don't let it quickly. And by the way, do not give the devil a foothold. In the room where I am here, I have a door behind me. And the door opens like any other door should. It opens into the room or into the house. Every door should open into where the owner is. When a door opens out, it could actually be a security threat. Okay? If it opens out, that means you have to be the one. So when the door opens in, that means you can push the door and shut it. It requires less energy to push than to pull. Okay? Now, if somebody wants to break into your house and you peep in, whatever, the first thing they will do is actually to put their arm in, or better say, they just put a foot. As long as that foot is there, no matter how the pain you inflict, that door will not close. From a foothold to a knee hold, from a knee hold to a thigh hold, from a thigh hold to a body hold, that's how people enter. So the Bible said, do not give the devil a foothold. Don't give the devil an opportunity, any opportunity. Okay? And the second passage is Matthew chapter 5, verse 23. and 24. He said, therefore, if you are offering your gift at the altar, and there you remember, I want you to just think about that situation. Somebody has traveled from Galilee up north, coming to Jerusalem to come and travel all the way. They didn't have cars in those days. Maybe they trek. Maybe if you are lucky, you have a donkey. Whatever, you walk all the way, and then you remember while you are there at the altar that you remember that your brother has something against you. Not that you have anything against him, that he has something against you. What I would say, Jesus Christ said, leave your gift there. Offering the gift is great. Okay, we're not saying you don't offer, but leave your gift there in front of the altar. Nobody's going to touch it or steal it or take it. First go and reconcile to your brother, then come and offer your gift. You know why? So that you wouldn't have made a waste of the journey. So think about it today. Where are you at today? Where am I at today? Those 4 negative reactions. Very, very important. Those 4 negative reactions. Are you always escalating the fights? Are you always making negative comments? Are you making invalidating comments? Or are you withdrawing? Okay, so in order to resolve this pattern, all of us, we need to take full responsibility for how we react or respond to our spouse. Take full responsibility. And this is what will help us out. You need to know, number one, there's no excuse for me. I have no excuse for every time I have reacted rather than responding. There's no excuse. But I think about there's no excuse. You have to remember that what I do, what you do, and how you act or how I act, they might be influenced by somebody. Somebody might influence it, but they are not the cause. They are not caused by other people. So nobody caused you to do it. Nobody forced you to do it. They might influence you. That is the influence you, but you are the one that is not going to do. So at this point, we're not just saying, well, so what do we now do? Let's now look at how do we now begin to tackle everything. Happy married couples must focus on positive interaction. This positive interaction will not prevent negativity, from overwhelming them. Have you ever seen the picture of a happy couple before? Yeah, you see them in pictures. So they are usually happy. Maybe you look at their eyes. You can tell a couple in the picture they are not happy. It's in the eyes, you see. See, love, they say, is in the eyes. You look at the eyes. That's why in the Igbo language, love is called ehonanya. That is being able to see eyeball to eyeball. Ehonanya. Think about it. Reckless words will ruin us. The Bible says in the book of Proverbs chapter 12 verse 17 that a truthful witness gives honest testimony, but a false witness tells lies. Reckless word pierces like a sword, the Bible says, but the tongue of the wise brings healing. I'm reading Proverbs 12 verse 17 to 19. Verse 19 says, truthful lips endures forever, but a lying tongue lasts only a moment. Your relationship, do you want to last for a lifetime? Want to last for a moment? Many relationships could have been saved today if we can only, if people have just only held their tongue. That many years ago, we used to brag in our churches, family of churches, that we've never had a case of divorce, like never. From North America, South America, Europe, Africa, Asia, everywhere, we've never had a divorce situation. But the truth is that we are beginning to have them now. We're beginning to, to have them because people are now looking at the societal standard and now are not looking at what the Bible is saying. Now, you might say it's very insignificant compared to the 10% or 50% that the world has. Yes, even if it's one, that one is a lot. Just like the Bible talks about even one soul is as important as the 99. So let's watch out for negative reaction. Remember again, Proverbs chapter 15, a gentle answer turns away wrath. So when we process things, it comes out with our tongue. So reckless word is something that the book really assumes that watch out for. Self-control, watch out for the things you say. The Bible says, let your words be seasoned with salt, not pepper. be seasoned. Salt is a seasoning agent. Salt brings out the best in the food that you cook. Salt is a preservative. Salt is a disinfectant. Salt can melt ice. Salt can dehumidify a room. Salt is so useful. And that's why Jesus Christ said, if salt loses saltiness, then what else again is it useful for? Not that salt can use its saltiness. That's chlorium. Anyway, I'm not a chemistry major and everything. But it can, it's a component. Can you imagine if salt loses component, there can be salt. Now, there's actually something they say, if you go to the Dead Sea, which I have, a lot, the salt that they take comes from the Dead Sea. So, whenever the wave comes, the salt stays on the rock. So they carry the rock and they'll be scraping the salt off of the rock. After a while, they say, oh, this salt and lost saltiness. So they throw it away, the rock, and it's now only useful for paving roads. Okay, that's probably what that would have meant. So we need to look at temptation to retaliate at this time. We are all tempted to retaliate. So how do we do? So if you say, I can't say whatever, hold my peace, hold my tongue. So look at the temptation. It is true. Proverbs 21 verse 23 says, he who guards his mouth and his tongue keeps himself from calamity. Proverbs 13 verse 3 said, he who guards his lips guard his life, but he who speaks rashly will come to ruin. 1 Peter 3 verse 10 says, whoever would love life and see good days must keep his tongue from evil and must sleep from deceitful speech. So that's why we're saying more of the damage is what we say. So how do we slow down for right response? Remember, our mouths go faster than we think many times. So we're not saying, slow down. So the next segment now emphasizes the importance of slowing down and thinking about our response. Slow down to think about your response. Remember Ephesians chapter 4, verse 29. Do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouth. Sometimes unwholesome, it's not whole. Don't let any unwholesome talk, but only what is helpful for building others according to their needs. Some time ago, last year, I remember late last year, I can't remember again. Usually, I don't remember saying, but there was a kind of a discussion I had with my wife that I felt triggered. Now, I don't, not because she was wrong or whatever, but I just didn't like the way the discussion was going. So I kept quiet. In the evening, I kept quiet. I didn't respond. But that was a reaction. It was like a response, but later on it was turning to a negative response. So I kept quiet all night to the following day. Then my wife now comes as usual. Most of the time she's the one that initiates, and I'm learning to initiate more. And she asked me, I said, oh, can we talk about what happened? I said, yes. Then we talked about it. She now said, is that why you kept quiet? She said, no, ask me, why have I been keeping quiet? And I said, I kept quiet because I don't want to say what was wrong. I didn't want anything unwholesome to come out of my mouth. That's what I meant. That's the reason why. But she said she didn't like it because I didn't tell her that's why I kept quiet. So even when you keep quiet, let your spouse know why you are keeping quiet. Ask for time out. Take their permission. Say, honey, do you mind if I take some time out so that I can process this? So I didn't ask for permission. So I thought I was doing what was right. I didn't want to say something that would escalate or whatever, so I kept quiet. But it now gave the impression as I was resentful, and that's what it would have turned out to be. You become resentful because you are trying to think, to process things, but the other person doesn't know you are processing things. So Bible said, do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouth, but only what is fitting, what will build the other up according to the Bible said, the listener, according to their own need. Do not grieve the Holy Spirit of God with whom you've been sealed for the day of redemption. So what do we do? In verse 31 of Ephesians chapter 4, chapter 4, it said, get rid of all bitterness, French word, amen, bitterness, in Hebrew, mara, like Naomi, Naomi came back after she went to spend time in Moab. She escaped. She thought she was escaping famine, she was escaping hardship, she was escaping economic downturn and everything. And while she was there, she lost everything. Her husband died. Okay, she still had her 2 sons who got married. The first son died. So that what could be happening? Have you ever been in a place in your life where you feel that life has stripped you of everything? There is no reason to be alive anymore. Last Saturday, last Saturday, I was at an event in Ikoyi. I was a moderator of an event, and most of the people there, I met them for the first time. Was invited. Even the person who invited me, we're getting to know each other, a coach. And I began to hear the story of people like Real Worry Picken. You guys know her, she's a comedian, Anita. I never knew she attempted suicide just a few years ago. Yeah? And there was also a guy from Kenya who wants to be president, by the way. Wants to be president of Kenya. And he flew away from Kenya, whatever. And he said he attempted suicide like twice. And other people also, one guy who's a doctor too, attempted suicide. And it's a resilience conference to come and share about how people are able to beat what life has thrown at them. And there was a portion where it says, that is called When Life Throws You a Lemon. And these people are saying, okay, you make lemonade, right? Someone say, no, you don't make lemonade. You throw it back, or you ask life for more. Say, life, for me to make lemon, I need water, I need ice, I need a cup, whatever. So in other words, you don't have to take, life throws me this. What do you make with what life has thrown you? So people can become bitter. So bitter, Bible says, get rid of all bitterness, rage and anger, brawling and slander, along with every form of malice. So when you keep quiet, when you keep numb, and you don't want to speak, it can lead to malice. So Bible says, be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other, just as Christ, and just as in Christ, God forgive you. So how did God forgive you? Unconditionally, right? The same thing is expected of you. Yes, we're going to talk about the situation. We're going to but you're going to give before the person even repents. That's why I say forgive. You give. Do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouth. So as we move to the end of today's class, and we're going to give time for Q&A, there are other things that we want to say. We're not saying that you shouldn't speak. Keeping silent, even according to the book, can also be you contributing to the hurt. Maybe you are going through abuse at this time, maybe as a spouse, and you are being abused. And by the way, it's not just women that are being abused. My father have had to cancel a couple where it was the wife that was physically abusing the husband. That's why you will not find any man going to the police station to go and report that their wife is beating them or whatever. People, even outside, they will laugh at you. But tentacles will go off if it's the man beating the woman. It's like a man coming and said, I was raped. They'll say, from where? I've had a situation where a man, a guy was gang raped by some girls. So societal there's something we expect and we do not expect. So keeping quiet is not the answer, but being able to speak up. Now, people say, just throw it up. Just throw it up. Yes, throw it up. But like the author says, that blotting out destructive emotion is like vomit. It's like vomit. When we say, let me just throw it, let it leave my chest, let me leave my heart, whatever. Yes, but there is a place to go and do that. You might feel better after you let it out, but by the way, write this down, all of you, put this down. Vomit belongs to the toilet and not on your spouse. You don't vomit on your spouse. Nobody appreciates if somebody vomits on them. No, it belongs to the toilet. So in order to act right, when our spouses act wrong, we will need to learn to control our tongue as well as our destructive negative emotion. We have to learn to control our tongue and destructive negative emotion. In Psalm 39 verse 1, it says, and it's not easy. Now, this is not easy. Even the author, says it. There's a time to be quiet, to tell yourself, I'm not going to speak because I know what I will say. I know what I will say. And I was in a situation where somebody was very mean towards me, and another guy was there. And after the guy left, he was like, Uncle Emmanuel, the guy spoke to me. And I'm sure the guy is right here, paying attention. He said, Uncle Emmanuel, I couldn't have taken it to you were this guy, to whatever. I said, what could I have said? If I say anything, I will say whatever there. And because this guy was already on a path to destruction. And it was like, So there's some time to just stay back. Look at what the psalmist said. The psalmist also struggled in Psalm 39. He said, I said, I will watch my ways and keep my tongue from sin. This is the guy, this is David that wrote this. David was struggling. He said, you know what? I said to myself, I'm going to watch my ways and I'm going to keep my tongue from evil. I will put a muzzle on my tongue as long as the wicked are in my presence. Do you think it's easy? It's a struggle to be silent when people are physically wrong, where they are looking for a fight, where they want you, anything you say, they're going to talk back, whatever, where either your husband, it is hard. But David said, I'm struggling, but I'm going to put a muzzle on my mouth as long as the wicked is my presence. Then that said, but when I was silent, now think about this, the irony, but when I was silent and still, not even saying anything good, my anguish increased. That is what happens. The wicked way, he's going to boil and say, do you know who I am? Do you know? People say, I put food on the table. People say, and so what? Whatever. It is not easy to keep quiet. And I'm saying this to say, what we are asking you to do will not be easy, but it's not impossible. So David said, even when I kept quiet, my anguish increased. He said, my heart grew hot within me. Verse 3 says, and as I meditated, the fire burned. Then I spoke with my tongue. Show me, O Lord, my life's end and the number of my days. Let me know how fleeting is my life. You have made my days as mere handbreadth, and span of the years is nothing before you. Each man's life but a breath. Man is a mere phantom as he goes to and fro. He bustles about, but only in vain. He heaps up the wealth, not knowing how he will get it. But now, Lord, what do I look for? My hope is in you. Save me from all my transgression. Do not make me the scorn of the fools. I will be silent. I was silent. I will not open my mouth, for you are the one who has done this. Remove your scourge from me. I am overcome by the blow of your hand. You rebuke and discipline me, men for their sin. You scorn their rod like moth. Each man is but a breath. Hear my prayer, O Lord. Listen to my cry for help. Be not deaf to my weeping, for I dwell with you as an alien, a stranger, as all my fathers were. Look away from me, then I may rejoice again, before I depart and am no more. This is a prayer. You see, David at this point was able to come to a realization that most times it's hard for us to come to. And the realization is, who am I really fighting? David now said, this is not man. God, please help me. If this is from you, please help me. He said God does not commit sin. Well, but sometimes God can allow bad things to happen to us to make us strong. Not to tempt us. Temptation is to make you fall, but to test us. So David focused his mind and said, God, if it's from you, teach me. I want to be able to stand. You see, anger or words, the author described them using two things. He said it can either be a bomb, an atomic bomb that kills fast, boom, or it can be cancer that kills slowly. Just last week, we lost one of our sisters to cancer, but cancer doesn't kill in one day, slowly. So the poison that we do, how is it? So now, how do we now confront issues in our life? You can. Somebody said that you can sweep broken glass under the carpet, but eventually it will work its way through the rug, and cut your foot. So stop withdrawing. We're not saying you should withdraw. Stop pretending that all is well. Today, are you in your marriage? The order of the day is pretense. Let's just pretend that everything is okay. Husband will pretend, wife will pretend, because they don't want either the society to know, or they don't want the children to know, but they know that they're not doing well. Remember, therefore, let all of you put off falsehood and speak truthfully. So it is now, because the problem is how we speak, is what we do or say. So we are going to learn how to now communicate. Communication is not just talking. Talking is, I have a microphone here. I just talk. But if nobody is responding back to me, I'll stop talking like a phone. When you say hello, you expect to hear a hello. If there's no hello, you're like, okay, I think that, the reception is bad. You turn it off. A lot of times we are not communicating, we are just talking. You have to have your information before you say anything. Like what I've been doing for some years right now, and if I have my notebook here, somewhere here, I write. If I have a serious discussion to have with someone, a real serious discussion that has a potential, where I write my sentences down. Sometimes I write up to 7 pages long. How I'm going to say it. If it looks good, I'm going to say it. If not, I'm not going to say it. I will write it down. And the author of this book talked about when she's not feeling happy with her husband, she goes and writes her feelings down, then she checks and throws it away. Those kind of things that your husband should not see, your wife should not see. So you don't throw up on your spouse. You don't speak when you are angry. Just like we say, don't spank your children or discipline them. Or I know maybe if you're not on this part of the world, we do discipline, some reasonable, capital punishments. You withdraw things from them, but don't do it when you are angry. Is that just capital? Does that make corporal punishment? I don't even know. Discipline, just call it the discipline. We withdraw things from them. Go stay in your room, or you're going to have this or go that. But we don't starve them. Starving is not discipline. You don't say, oh, because you failed your masters, you're not going to eat for 1 week. You don't do that. Or you say, oh, okay, because you didn't do ABCD, you are going to sleep on the street for 2 weeks. You don't do that. That becomes abuse. It is used arbitrarily in a wrong way, becomes abuse. So we need to learn how to communicate. We need to learn how to communicate our feelings, our thoughts. Without necessarily triggering up. So making a change from reacting to responding. That's if you have the book, you can go and read. There's actually a movie that is I'm trying to see if I can get that movie. It's like women who have been mistreated by their husbands. They went to go and form a club, the First Wives Club. They went to go and form a club. Now it doesn't teach biblical way of responding. It's more of a reaction. They bought over the company, they throw the husband things at it, whatever. So make sure that your response must be for the good of that person. For example, if we withdraw cell phone from our kids, because they are spending too much time and they are not reading their book, it's for their own good. Okay, discipline belongs to us. Punishment is God's own deal, and sometimes we may have to withdraw from people for their own good. Okay, for their own good. Now, that can only happen when you realize who you are fighting, one, and what you are fighting for. Is the who. Satan, on his way, doesn't want relationship. He doesn't want marriage to work and whatever. Satan can use your spouse. So, like Jesus, are you going to see Peter or are you going to see Satan? In his right mind, he won't be saying. He doesn't know what he's doing. So you're going to pray for them. You're going to seek help. For his own good. For his own good. So sometimes, the right to countersign a check can be removed from a spouse who has an addiction. So that every time he gets money, he spends it. So you know what? We're going to agree. We're going to go to the bank or what I'm going to write so that they can remove, so that you don't put us in trouble. Sometimes you can do that, but it's for the person's own good, because it's not the person. You are not attacking the person. You are trying to deal with the Satan in their life. So what are you fighting for? And who are you fighting? Because righteous response overcomes evil with good. Can you imagine? Romans 12, verse 24, say, do not be overcome by evil, but overcome. If your response is not making you evil, you're not becoming the person that you hate. You not become tit for tat. Do me, I do you, God will vet. Then you have only reproduced, multiply the evil in our world. Righteous response overcomes evil with good. The story was told about a wife who has an abusive husband who doesn't care about them. He makes a lot of money, but it doesn't really whatever. And this wife has been saving money for the children's education, college, and every single thing. The marriage eventually was heading towards divorce, and they were there. They have to come and declare their assets. The first thought is like, why declare my assets to this man who didn't care? He stacked money all over the world. But she thought about it. For her to be a good Christian wife, she had to now declare herself. Now she may, like the book says, she may lose some of that money when it comes to splitting whatever. But at least she kept her dignity, her honor. So my honor. So somebody asked me one time, why didn't I react the way someone supposed to react? I said, I didn't do that because of my honor. And I told him, I said, because my honor is more important. The most difficult story for me, not to believe, in the Bible, but to just think about is the story of Hosea, a prophet who has a serial, a wayward wife, who the paternity of the children is even in question. And God said, go and bring her back, go and love her. And God was doing it to show her, this is what I do for Israel. And look at what it took for Hosea to bring back Gomer. Now, of course, Gomer died the most horrible way. But think about it, to win such a woman back. My question is, how far am I willing to go to win my spouse back in a very bad situation? What about the story of Esther, who was a queen, who could have lashed, who could have come out in a very bad way and say, King, don't you know what you're doing, whatever. But she had to take it to God in prayer, declare the fast, and say, if I die, I die. And was able to gently, with wisdom, to bring the situation out. Think about the story of David, who was going to go and kill a man who didn't do him anything, because he asked for just a goat, and the man said, goat what? Did I hire you? But because I've been here, nobody has attacked your herd. But I didn't sign a contract with you. And they was going to go and kill this man until the wife came, Rebecca, and said, my husband is a fool. He acted like a fool. A gentle. And David said, blessed are you. Blessed is God today, because I will have gone to go and sing. And of course, when the man died, David had enough to say, I think if I'm going to be king, I think I need such a woman as my queen or as a wife. So there's an encouragement for us today at difficult times. We're not saying that those difficult times are good or whatever they are, but I want you to be encouraged today, wherever you are, because this John chapter 3 doesn't answer all the questions in this book. Maybe you have tried and it's been tough luck. Maybe right now you are still talking, you are still praying, everything, nothing seems well. But I'm saying, let's go through the process. Trust the process. You have tried your best. Yes, we know. You have done so many things. Do not lie to each other. Remember, keep your dignity no matter what happens. Don't let somebody's misbehavior, make you to become the devil that you are trying to fight. And there are also beautiful situations where the husband or the wife had been righteous and the marriage was saved. As we go today and open it up for Q&A, we want all of us to look at the steps they're going to take. Let's encourage one another in difficult times. Okay? Let's listen to one another. Let's be able to have an ear that wants to first understand before you want to be understood. There's a prayer that the chapter ends with, and that's the prayer I'm also going to be ending with, almost like a poem. It's called Destiny. Watch your thoughts today, all of us. Watch your thoughts. Why do you watch our thoughts? Because our thoughts become our words. What you say is from what you're thinking about. Number 2, watch your words, because what I say eventually becomes my actions. Number 3, watch your actions, because your actions, if you keep doing it, becomes a habit. Number 4, watch your habits, because your habits becomes your character. That is now you. So the prayer is, dear Lord, I'm beginning to see that my reactions to things that happened in my life do not always please you. Help me to stop making excuses. Help me to stop blaming others for my bad reactions. Today, I want to stop reacting, and I ask that you teach me how to respond to my spouse in the right way. I am coming to a realization that my real enemy is Satan, who wants to destroy me and my marriage. Lord, please help me to fight back with your weapons. The weapons of righteousness you provide for me. Teach me how to respond in truth and in love, and to overcome evil with good. Help me to repent of my centeredness and selfishness, my pride and my stubbornness. Lord, please change my heart. Make me more like you, especially in my home. Amen and amen. So that is where we end today's review and class of the book. So we're going to open it up at this time. I don't know how much time we have. I really don't know. I really don't know how much time we have. I asked, but was not told. We have spent 2 hours. So Mike, can you please read out the questions? Then if you want to speak, we can allow you, we can unmute you, but make sure your video is on. And if you can. There's a question here. You might not be, it's a direct question. Maybe that was intentional. So I'm not going to read the person's name. He said, how do you respond to my spouse? Okay, let's say to a spouse knowing that he refuses to admit he's wrong. There are actually two questions here. How do we respond? And I'm going to throw it open. Anybody, I mean, there are a lot of smarter people, people there. So how do you respond to your spouse when you know that they are wrong, but they refuse to admit that they are wrong? That's the first question. Number two is, okay, that's an example. For instance, I'm going to read it the way it is. I have an issue with my spouse and I pour out my resentment to the person, my spouse. I don't want to use the gender. I pour out my resentment, expecting a pacifying response. Instead, the spouse response was reluctant, and he started having attitude on what he should have thought or supposed to. Now I'm trying to rephrase. I thought it's supposed to be resolved. To me, the writer says, I'm supposed to be the one offended. And if your apology is genuine, why have attitude afterwards? Sincerely, at the moment, the person writes, the person is struggling and is bitter towards the spouse, and he feels that they are deprived of emotional feelings, not sympathetic in action, and they feel like they are they are the problem, like I am the problem, the person, right? So how do we respond to this situation? This is a live situation, by the way. This is not hypothetical. This is a live response. I mean, a live question, a live need. So let us try to who can help us out in this. How do you respond to this? Mr. Eke, please, you have the mic. Oh, sorry, I'm supposed to unmute you. Okay, sorry about that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for this great class. I know it was long.
But if not, that's okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear, but I say if you can put on your video, that'll be fine. But if not...
Oh, sure, I can do that. Why not? Can you unmute my video? I can't start it.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, we had to do that for security reason. We don't want to... Okay, go ahead. You can do that now. Sorry.
Okay. Thank you for the class. I really enjoyed it. I know it's late here. It's 3:30 or to 4. The question is great. I have experienced that event in my life,
In Matthew 18, right? I know the question is saying, how are you supposed to respond when your spouse is right? My question to you is, how did you point out what you pointed out? In Matthew 18, Jesus says to go tell the person who offended you the offense, to win them over. So the attitude of pointing it out is not just, oh, you did this, it's to win them over. My wife and I, we've transited from you to I. So I'm talking about my feeling. Oh, honey, I was hurt with this. Once I say that, her words doesn't go up. If she said to me, honey, I was hurt by this, I felt shattered by this. Just like we were sharing about that short movie clip. If you said that to him, I was hurt this way, I really feel so bad, then your spouse will not put a wall up. If you say you, once you say you, is accusatory. You're accusing him of something, so it's debatable. He debates it, he said no. But if you say, I am hurt, there's nothing to debate. There's nothing to really debate about. So my view is this, right? Maybe you should go back to your spouse and redo what you said and say, I was hurt by this. And then see if your spouse reacts properly. One of the reasons you may have said it wrongly is because both of you, and this is true for us, but we're realizing it and changing. Both of us, we have histories and experiences of each other. Unfortunately, most of these histories are negative. So when something happens now, you know what I do? I go to my hard drive and pull that negative history. Something is happening now, but I'm pulling something else. And that's why I will say you, and then I defend when she says that, and then he escalates. Like Emmanuel has shared, we need to de-escalate the issues. If we follow what Jesus said in Matthew 18, when I'm bringing up my issue about my spouse, it needs to be with a view, an objective to win them over. If the objective is to point out they are bad, that's not to win them over. If the objective is to make them look bad, or to say, oh, to make myself look good and he and my spouse bad, then the objective is defeated. One of the things I notice is that it's easy to drift away from what Jesus said and Jesus's practices and methodologies. So this is a call. I thank you for the call. This is a call to go back to what Jesus commands. They are not suggestions, they are commands. Go with the view of winning your spouse over. Winning over. Thank you. Over and out.
Thank you so much, my dear brother. Thank you so much. And wherever you are, if you can do this, please go ahead and do this. Nobody can do it easily, but I can do it because I practice. Can do this. Just go ahead and do that. Live long and prosper, right? This is a sign that we use in counseling for vulnerability, the V vulnerability. Now, yes, in addition to what our brother said, oh, great, Mr. Adefolu, that's great. If you can do that, that would be good. Vulnerability. Now, let me say something about vulnerability. When you are vulnerable, you are able to attack. You say when you're playing soccer, I say, oh, our net was vulnerable, our goalkeeper was vulnerable. Now, so when you are sharing, bringing something up, bring it in a vulnerable way. Now, I'm going to share with you how we do it normally. And that is how we grew up. And that's how we talk to one another. You they crazy, you they mad, you they come close cigar. It's about you. We point fingers, right? So when we bring things up, and that's what I was doing when I just got married before I was taught. So I would say something like to my wife, honey, you did this thing wrong. I don't like the way you do this thing. You are this, you are that. It's all about them. So what you're doing is that you are telling them they are bad. There's no defense there. But in vulnerability, I was taught to say this. To rather making your spouse the focus, make yourself the focus. Now, how do you do that? By saying something like, you know, honey, when you said A, B, C, D, it actually made me feel very insecure. Honey, do you know, when you do this, it makes me feel very afraid of myself. It doesn't make me, honey, when you did not respond to me when I was talking to you, it made me feel unwanted. There is nobody that you will say that to that won't say, oh no, that's not what I meant. That's not, what I meant, whatever. Because you are like, this is me. Okay, I am insecure. I felt vulnerable. I felt, so you bringing yourself out. Listen, there is no time I have tried that and that it didn't work. There is no time that I have tried out that it didn't work. I'm going to be calling up Mr. Da Silva. I saw your video on. If you can turn your video on, that would be great also. You have a response to it, that would be great. Question.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Eme. Just like the previous speaker said, though it was a long class, but I was able to stay put and listen to you all through. Also because I know you, and I can testify to the fact that you live out, most of the things you've taught. I know your relationship with your wife. I see the examples you set, so I was able to sit here and listen all the way through because I see the example, in your life. Now, for me, over the years, I've had to, make adjustments because, like you said, when we first started, it was the blame shifting and pointing of finger. My wife was always the one who couldn't, do something right, fault finding, and all of that. You see, but what I've realized is that, the life we're, called to live is was originated by someone, and that person is Jesus Christ. He is the one who has called us to live this life. And he hasn't called us to live arbitrarily. He has called us to follow his example. So somewhere he says that we should consider Christ, and we should, want to be like him, who, even though God did not consider equality with God something to be held on to, So for me, I think the best way to always be on top of myself is to always keep Christ in view, because he's the perfect example. Just like you said, it is challenging. The human nature we carry does not want to submit. The human nature we carry plays the comparison game all the time. The human nature is selfish, is self-focused. Like when you take a group picture, instinctively you look for yourself first in the picture. That's the human nature we carry. And then you are living with another human being, that is also free to live. I mean, pride clashes. And I've lived with that now about 23 years in marriage. I'm still learning to be humble. I'm still learning to, put my wife first. 23 years, one would think that, you would graduate university almost, almost 6 times or thereabout. But here I am still trying to put this flesh under control, And so Jesus is the perfect example. And as long as we keep him in front of us, we will be reminded to do the right thing. When you talk about somebody who is God and is the height of humility, then who am I? What excuse do I have? I need to always remember that, the person I'm in relationship with is a human being, who has many weaknesses, but I have more. So it helps me to be always ready to not, vomit on them, but to know that, I also have weaknesses, and I'm living with somebody who has, weaknesses. So it prepares me to be able to, have a better attitude, towards my wife, towards my son. And those are the two people who get it the most because they are the closest to me. I find out that sometimes I even respect outsiders more. But when I'm in the space of my house, the see finish attitude, taking for granted attitude, steps in. I mean, these people, you feel like an ownership attitude towards them. Can talk to you anyhow, I can. It becomes like an ownership attitude, which is a sin, because Jesus didn't do that, and he will not do that. You know, so I think setting Jesus always as a perfect example in front of me is a constant reminder and a strength to be able to cope and put this flesh, you know, under control. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, my dear brother, for just sharing. And so if we have no other questions, usually I think we would try to keep this class to 2 hours, and we've done exactly 2 hours right now. We've done exactly 2 hours. So the next class will be on February 24th, okay? Will be February 24th. Today is January 27th. We began this November 25th. That was the first class. We did December 16th. Then we did January 27th. We've just done January 27th. So next one's going to be February 24th. And it's a progression. This is systematic theology. Now we're going to look at how do we now guard our hearts. Okay, we looked at why bother to act right. That's part 1. Part 2, what does my spouse wrong reveal in me? Then today is stop reacting, start responding. Then number 4, as we're doing that, we need to guard our hearts. So if you want to know what it means to guard your hearts and how to guard your hearts, then you may want to, come February 24th to come and listen to that fantastic class that, will be done by another, speaker. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, but somebody else will do that one. I'm going to be there also. All of them are going to be there to learn. So thank you so much for coming. I don't know if Mr. Anolefo is in the house. Mr. Anolefo, are you there? All right, because sometimes a lawyer, it can be, I won't say it can be in court, but it can be in arbitration, at this time. Okay, I'm just going to pick one of our young couples to say prayer. I'm seeing the pictures right now. I'm seeing the engaged couples, but I have a young couple in Rotimi Awaye is there, and I can still see another one, Oyinye. There. So any of you, if you want to just close out with prayer, that would be great. And we'll see you all in February 24th. Okay. I'm sure you guys are in a place where you can pray. Oh, sorry, you can't unmute. Sorry. Sorry, I almost forgot that. That's okay. Now you can unmute. Sorry.
Yes, thank you so much for the class. Some of the words you were saying are already on my status, and it's just blazing. People are asking, is it literal? Is it an expression? Thank you so much. Let us pray. Our Father and our God, we thank you so much for a time like this, where we can come together to learn. I know that there are so many of my brothers and sisters that have been in this journey for over 30 years, 29 years, 27, 26, some 4 months, some a month plus. And we are counting down to our own 3 years. Father, we thank you so much for such an opportunity to learn, Father, even to add to our knowledge and also to add to our relationship and how we can better our lives as couples, Father, even in your kingdom. We are grateful to be part of this opportunity, God, that many are paying millions, Father, to get so that they can live a good married life. But God, you've given us on a platter of gold. Father, I pray that these lessons will not be lost on us. I pray, Father, that you will help us, every day of our life to always, be in a position where we can interact, we can, attend to our issues in a positive manner, so that we can't, do it the wrong way. Father, I beg you, God, that everyone that has listened to this class today, God, that we will go out to also share with one another, ask questions. How are we doing? How are we taking this to heart? I thank you so much for Mr. Eme that has taken this time to, even talk to us in a manner in which you have put those things in his heart. I pray, Father, that you will replenish him, that you will help him, oh God, Father, even to work in his own life, even as he teaches us. We thank you so much, Father, for the opportunity to be called your children and married people in your kingdom. I pray, God, that as we learn, as we go about our duties, as we open our hearts to each other, to our spouses, Father, we will not throw vomit on any one of us, Father, but rather we will look at each other and just, talk, discuss, communicate in a manner in which we will lift each other up rather than bringing each other down. Thank you so much, Father. I know that some of us are having a great marriage. Some of us are having bad marriages. I pray, God, that you will come to our rescue, that we will be open, God, to talk about how we feel, how things are going so that we can get help. Father, on your own, oh God, I pray that you will, help us to constantly circumcise our hearts every now and then so that the devil will not give a foothold to the evil one. I pray that you take Satan far away from our family, far away from our spouses, far away from our children, far away from those little things, even little things like, what can we eat today? What are we eating today? What are we to eat? What can we do? Father, I pray, oh God, that you will help us, that we will see those signs, recognize them, and Father, and run away from them. Thank you so much for today. Even as we leave this platform, Father, that we would live with great encouragement in our hearts to help each other to grow together, Father, that at the end of the day, all glory and honor will be to your holy name. I worship and adore you, Father. I thank you so much for this opportunity to learn. It's in Jesus' name I pray with thanksgiving. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you everyone for coming. It was great to have a woman close us up because the woman actually wrote the book. That's awesome. And we look for so we are recording this, and if for any reason anybody misses out, they can